What's up, everyone? There's been some breaking news in Apex Legends. Some of it's good news and some of it's bad news. Let's cover the bad news first. There is still no word on a Loba swimsuit skin being added. However, the good news is Wattson's getting a buff. They are nerfing the Lstar to the ground, and there will be no Olympus or Kings Canyon this season. We've got a lot to get into regarding Season 11 changes, so let's do it. Now, there doesn't appear to be any other legend changes this season besides the addition of Ash, obviously, and this huge Wattson rework. So let's get right into the changes they did to Wattson. I will cover this kind of briefly because I don't want to get too detailed and drag out this video. They increased the damage on her fence by 33%. They increased the debuff duration of crossing a fence by 100%. So that's now at 3 seconds. They increased the time allowance to be hit by a subsequent fence effect by 100%. They decreased her cooldown on it from 30 seconds to 15 seconds. They increased the placement range by 50%. They decreased the delay between fences shutting off and reactivating after a teammate passes through by 60%. Wattson can move faster while readying and placing fences. And fence nodes can now be placed as soon as it's readied instead of waiting for the animation to finish. As far as the ultimate, her pylon, they did a bunch of changes to that as well. You can no longer have 3 of them out. I don't know if anybody ever had more than 1 out though. We are back to having 1 out. There is no timer. It doesn't go away after 90 seconds, but it does have a cap on how much shield it can recharge. It says the pylon now has a pool of 250 shields that can be distributed to nearby players instead of infinite shields. They increased the pylon shield recharge rate by 150%, and they smoothed the regen rate. When the pylon is out of shields, it can still stay and zap incoming ordnance, so that is huge. If you ping a friendly pylon, it will now display the percentage of shields remaining in it, and they just did a ton of other changes. I will link the patch notes in the description. It gets kind of boring here. Let's shift gears to weapon changes. It looks like the triple take is returning to floor loot, and taking its place is the G7 Scout. The Scout enters the supply drop with its old friend, the double tap trigger equipped. Hop-ups, there's a new hop-up called Dual Shield. Each round loaded into the Mastiff or 30-30 is doubled. That could be a pretty good hop-up. We'll see how it plays out. I know reloading the Mastiff when you're in an active fight can be a little difficult, so we'll see if that is actually viable. As far as the gold weapons they added, they are doing the Mastiff, 30-30, R301, Car, and Longbow this season. They have nerfed the fire rate on the EVA 8 just a little bit because it still is the strongest shotgun by far. The Peacekeeper got a slight buff. They increased the pellet size. The choke up time is reduced from 1.5 seconds to 1.25 seconds, and the choked up shots remain tight for slightly longer while exiting ADS. The longbow did get hit with a nerf this season. It was probably the strongest sniper. The damage reduced from 60 to 55. This was a recent buff they made, and they're saying it was unnecessary. So the longbow will still be viable. It's just going to do a little bit less damage. But here's the big news, the Lstar. Now, I'm hoping and praying this actually kills this gun because this gun is the worst thing in Apex Legends right now. They reduced the barrel effectiveness at any rarity tiers. They significantly reduced the projectile collision size, and they reduced the damage from 18 to 17. I still wish they did something with the VFX effects because when you're getting gunned down by an Lstar, it's like impossible to see your opponent. But I don't know. Hopefully this is enough to make it so people aren't going to pick up this gun as much as they are in Season 10. Obviously, the G7 Scout did get a buff since it is back in the care package, and the damage is increased from 34 to 36 with the addition of the double tap. They changed the supply drop weapon rates, so now early game crate weapon rate increased from 25% to 50%. I don't know if you ever got an early care package, but it was always like a gold helmet, a purple shield, or a gold knockdown. So hopefully we'll be getting some of these weapons earlier on in the game. And then late game, it's increased from 75 to 100%, so it's a sure thing. No matter what, late game care package is going to have a gun. If you go into the hut zones that you see around the map, they have increased the amount of gold loot that spawns in those. Crafting, you are now able to craft more ammo, which is huge because I don't know if you guys have ever been stuck at a crafter trying to craft ammo. Like 20 at a time is just not viable. So now it's up to 60 for energy, heavy, light, and then they adjusted the other 3 weapon classes as well. They did increase the price of crafting from 5 to 10 per weapon, and they increased the Evo armor points from 100 to 150. There are some huge rank changes. It is fairly confusing to explain, but just know that they're trying to balance it out more. They're trying to give more RP to players. And if you are in, let's say, a platinum lobby and you're going to be fighting against diamond players, you're going to get more kill points if you kill a higher tiered ranked opponent. They say they are monitoring this closely and they're hoping to add more changes maybe halfway through the season or potentially for season 12. And if you guys had any dive trails from previous seasons, beyond the second and third season, they will now officially be going away after that one season that you have them. There was a bug. They had mentioned they were doing this, but it actually was never in effect. So say goodbye to your previous dive trails, as long as they weren't the trails from series 1 or 2 that are grandfathered in. As far as Ash's abilities, well, we kind of know that because they dropped the Ash trailer this morning, but her passive called Marked for Death, Ash's map shows the location of recent death boxes. She gets a special prompt on a death box. She can use it to mark surviving attackers. This is only once per box. This is an insanely strong passive. It's like the crypto map room as her passive. I don't know how that's balanced, but we'll see. Her tactical is the arc snare. She's going to throw a spinning snare that damages and tethers the first enemy that gets too close. I imagine this will have a similar effect to like the Horizon black hole. And then her ultimate, the phase breach. Tear a one-way portal to a targeted location. This portal stays open for a short amount of time, which anyone can use during it. Now that's pretty crazy. I did think originally it was just going to be Ash who was able to use the ultimate, but it does seem that enemies and teammates can use it as long as they get to it in time. Let me know what you guys think of these changes down in the comments. I appreciate you checking out this video, and I'll catch you on the next upload in season 11.